Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, was directed by Joaquin Roning, one of the directors of the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and this time around, Maleficent, played by Angelina Jolie, gets into a little bit of a war with Michelle Pfeiffer, who is the mother of Prince Philip, who Aurora's going to marry, but of course she doesn't like the magical creatures on the other side of the wall, so she wants to, eliminate them, and Maleficent is like, you know what? It's wartime. And before we go any further, if you guys haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We're nearly to 200. So as far as Maleficent 2 is concerned, there's a lot about this movie that's kind of similar to my thoughts for the first Maleficent movie, which I actually only just saw a few days ago, where, the movies are good. Angelina Jolie is fantastic as Maleficent. She gives a really great performance that just steals every scene she's in. Elle Fanning is absolutely great as Aurora, but that's mostly because I'm secretly in love with her. And of course, the movie is nice to look at. It's well photographed. It's got that nice glossy Disney CGI that all their live action movies have nowadays. But other than that, this movie, I don't think it's a bad movie per se. I don't think it's a great movie, but, it's got some things about it that I do enjoy about it. And I think I do like this movie a little bit more than the first one, just because the first Maleficent is all about taking the Sleeping Beauty story and turning it on its head a little bit. So this one's telling its own original story, but it's also not the most original story ever. This movie essentially takes inspiration from, and I'm gonna list some movies here that you're probably gonna think, wait, what are you talking about? Just hear me out. So, this movie is basically if you took Shrek 2, Shrek 4, and like the first 3 X-Men movies and just crammed them together into a Maleficent movie. And what I mean by Shrek 2 is that when Maleficent and Michelle Pfeiffer and all the families are together for this little dinner towards the beginning of the movie, it's very much like that scene in Shrek 2 where they're at the castle at Far, Far Away and Shrek and the King kind of get at each other's throats and everyone's just sitting there like, haha, this is a lovely family dinner, is it not? Yeah, I don't really know if anybody else is gonna come into this movie and compare it to Shrek movies, but that's just kind of the way I saw it. And what I mean by comparisons to Shrek 4 is while Maleficent discovers there's more of her kind, the Dark Fangs, and they're this underground army basically that want to rise up and not be oppressed anymore. So that's kind of like where the Shrek 4 thing comes in. Again, I might be kind of stretchy with my comparison there, because really that's where things start to get more X-Men-like, because these Dark Fangs, they're basically, they're like the mutants in the X-Men movies, they're oppressed, people don't like them, they want to rise up, they want equality, and even 2 of these Dark Fang characters are basically like 2 of the major X-Men characters. You got Shitwell Ejiofor, who is basically the Xavier of the group, doesn't want to get violent, he wants to do it in a more diplomatic way, and then over here you've got Ed Skrein, who's very like the Magneto of the group, because he wants to be violent, he wants to war, because he thinks that's the only way to go about it, and then Angelina Jolie's Maleficent is just kind of somewhere in the middle trying to decide which way to go. So that dynamic was kind of interesting, but it leads to one of my bigger problems with the movie is that even though I think for the most part it flows okay as far as pacing and storytelling is concerned, it feels like there are just some areas where the movie is weirdly rushed. We don't get to learn quite as much about the Dark Fang creatures as I would have really hoped to, because we only get just a little tiny bit in how they're kind of descendants of this certain creature, and then it just feels like we get right to the battle sequence and stuff towards the end a little quickly, when it feels like we should have spent more time learning about them, some of the individual characters within this species. So that was really a bummer, because I really wanted to learn more about these Maleficent-looking creatures. And there are some slightly dark moments throughout the movie which were nice, but then towards the end, after everything kind of gets resolved, it gets just a little childish in some areas, like, certain villain characters getting their comeuppance and things like that, which was really kind of a bummer for me. But overall, much like the first movie, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's good, it's not a fantastic movie, it's not an awful movie, it's a very watchable movie, as much as the first movie was watchable, but I do like this one a little more than Maleficent 1. I probably will want to see this movie again eventually, because, there are things about this movie I do like a decent amount, like Angelina Jolie and, some of the things they were toying with in this movie, but overall, it's fine. So all in all, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, if you're gonna go see this movie, just keep these in mind. Shrek 2, Shrek Forever After, and X-Men. Keep those in mind, and you'll just have a grand old time with this movie. So, those are my thoughts on Maleficent 2, and again, if you guys haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button, nearly to 200 subscribers, and I got some really cool video ideas planned when that happens. But anyway, so, if you guys have seen Maleficent 2, or if you plan to, then type it down below, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.